All right, it's 6:06 p.m. We'll call this special meeting of the Ordinance Committee to order. We have a forum with myself, Co-Chair Boyd, Committee Member Newton, Committee Member Lyons, Committee Member Heron, and Council President Nieves. Also with us we have Scott Burns, Mark and Stoggs from the City Mayor's Office. Yesterday we left off at Chapter 4. What I think Council Newton wants to make some points back on the concept chapter, and we all have our drafts and everything. We all have our pens and notes. All good? Council Newton?
Yeah. If you look at the handout that you have on, well, you exhibit it first, I think, and then.
Does anyone have a copy? Mark, do you have one?
I do. If it's the same one, is it the same? No, it's slightly different, I call it.
It's in chapter 4, chapter 5 for the city council.
Okay. Yeah. And it talks about the vacancy. Yeah. All right. Let's exhibit it first. Okay.
What chapter, what page?
I think it's 3. Is city council 3? Item 4.
Chapter 3 is the elections and appointments. Chapter 5 is the city council.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to address 5 first and then go to?
Yeah. We talk about council president. All right. I'd like to exhibit item the city council, Bridgeport, President Pro Tem President's idea. Okay. And we'll call it 724, 2025A.
Yes. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay. Basically, what this says is that in the charter, it only talks about 2 positions. Now, prior to me getting back on the council, prior presidents have expanded from the majority leader and minority leader. And it says in the absence of the mayor, the council shall pick a designee for acting council president. But if you're going to have President Pro Tem, that should be in there, follow the chain of the line of command, because the council president, and ratified by the body, approves her appointment. So it doesn't make any sense that if the council president is not there and you have a chain of command, that should be, it's not in there now. We just assume when council president Nieves is not there, and only you next in line as council president. So I would ask that we look at that piece, and then the other piece, and everybody on the council said they want it. The city attorney's office don't want it, but we should have our own legal staff. And the reason I say that is because over the years, and Mark is here when him and I started together, the city attorney's office functioned a different way. And what I mean by that, well, let me back up a minute. We had city attorneys on the city council. And they would always treat the city council as an equal branch of government and not just side with the executive branch. You all remember, and I think Scott and I as budget co-chairs, we got messed over on a deadline something to do with the budget, and the attorney's office sided with the mayor. And so I think the time has come that we should have our own attorney that will analyze and look at ways of, just like the state legislature, I would present an idea to them, and they would figure out a way legally how we could go about it legally. And I don't see that on the local level that our city attorneys have said, okay, we'll figure out a way legally how to do whatever it is that we submit in a resolution to them to do.
Through the chair, can I just make a comment on your first one?
Yeah,
Which is, I noticed you skipped from majority leader, I think, to minority leader. Yet in your current leadership team, you have 3, I believe, deputy majority leaders, who I might suggest probably would be more appropriate before you get to a minority leader. Because number one, you may not have a minority leader, and number one, even if you do, it's still in the minority. So you might want to insert in there your first, second, third. And I presume you probably, since you have multiple deputy majority leaders, you probably want to have, like, they have first assistant, that you should have first deputy majority leader, second deputy majority leader, third deputy majority.
I'm doing that 3.
And just go in that
That
page.
3, okay.
I'm sorry, Scott.
Through your chair, if I'm understanding the attorney, he's suggesting naming very specific subsequent lower tier positions
Well,
for the charter.
they exist now if you, I went online and checked, and I saw that you right now have 3 deputy majority leaders on your leadership team.
But I don't think they're established anywhere
No,
in
they're
our
not.
rules. So again, I'm thinking the less we put into the charter, then we can flesh out what we want going ahead. But
Well,
that's,
that makes sense too. The only problem is here in the charter, you're definitively defining the pecking order
Right.
and skipping over them. So I don't know, I don't know whether you were inclined to. At one point, there was talk about identifying some of these other subsidiary positions and defining their duties. And I agree with you, it's easier to do it in the ordinances, but maybe what you want to put something in here that says, after majority. We're trying to accomplish things through the charter, and yet retain ordinance flexibility. And right now, I think you're correct, you don't define their duties anywhere, now you've given them some specific duties. I don't know what you want to do, I think the council president may want to talk about at some point additional powers of the leadership positions. And again, to the extent you etch it in stone in the charter, it's more difficult to modify. But I don't see how you do it other than this type of thing.
Mark, can I ask you a question? Do you think it would be better to do it in ordinance? Than in the charter?
Well, what you could conceivably say, the president pro temp, the majority leader, or if neither of them are present, the council president, the president pro temp, and the majority leader, if none of them are present,
The council?
additional positions will be established by ordinance to govern the meeting or something like that. I find it kind of hard to believe you're going to have the mayor, well, if the mayor's out, you just won't do it yourself. The president pro tem, the majority leader are all missing. Under Robert's rules, you would elect a person. And arguably, if one of the deputy majority leaders are there, they probably win the election because they hold that position. But, and I don't know what you want to do. You're approaching the problem well by suggesting we ought to have a declining order of running the meeting.
If we're going to keep it, I mean, it was started under McCarthy.
McCarthy started creating
Started
this position. It was only a pro temp and a majority.
Yeah, but now you got a lot more, you know, you got a sergeant at arms, you got deputy majority leaders,
Right.
and more than one, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are all by virtue, other than the majority leader, they're all by virtue of council rules.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know really what you want to do,
But I do think, I think it's something to think about.
but, yeah.
But we definitely should put in charge of it.
Well, you don't have to vote on, you know, you don't have to take a final vote tonight. Maybe
Right.
take a look at this. I think you're meeting again Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And the only other thing I'd say on the second piece, and I'm not here to debate, I'm not here to advocate for the city attorney's office, I would just say that there's some middle ground between saying the city council should have its own attorney and go to it on any and every issue and expend lots of money paying an attorney to do that, as opposed to having the capacity, and it has been done on very rare occasions in the past, as you know, but it went through a process that, you're right, it went through the council president, meeting with the city attorney, and getting an attorney that the council selected. We did that on a couple of development contracts, we did it on a budget issue. Having more unilateral power to do that is one thing, but simply having an attorney on call is a lot different than having an attorney that's going to weigh in on every friggin' issue, create litigation, go get paid to litigate, and spend a lot of money. So,
I would probably be in favor that the city council would have the authority as deemed necessary. I don't think you need a city attorney to come to every meeting. I think it should probably be considered, I agree with you, Mark, that we have the ability to bring on legal counsel if it's needed.
if you feel there's a conflict or a controversy, or you want a second opinion on something,
Right.
that's, you
Right.
know, that's different. As I said, we've done that very rarely.
Right.
I understand your goal, but I just don't think you want to, whenever there's two lawyers in the town, there's a lot of litigation because,
Right.
you know, and you'll pick and choose your battles, I assume, wisely.
You done?
Go ahead, because I'm thinking about it.
Okay. What I'm reading here that Councilman Newton has submitted, I think makes a lot of sense that it's, you know, when the council feels it's necessary and there are funds available, you can seek outside counsel. One, I'll just add as potential future consideration that should this soccer plan in the city move farther ahead, and we're looking at a TIF, which should be pretty complicated, I think, to some extent legally and financially and all that. That might be an example where we would say, hey, let's get some outside counsel and make sure we're saving.
Now, you know, just let me piggyback on that, because you guys may not be aware of this, or you guys and gals may not be aware of this. Aisha Tons brought a very popular and financially beneficial idea back from Norwalk to Bridgeport. And that is that, and she's already done it on 2 occasions and plans to do it regularly going forward. When a developer comes in with a project, they are obligated to fund the city retaining outside development counsel. And they put the money up front. She's already done it and done it twice already. And the developers did not balk at that. That way, we don't, because we have limited capacity in-house, as you know, on some of these major development deals. And we end up going out and oftentimes getting additional support. That's not something we should be paying for. But in order to avoid the council conceivably having to go get a third attorney, it might make sense for the council and the city attorney to consult as to who we're going to utilize so that you're comfortable with the firm. But needless to say, we're going to hire quality. Oh, we agree on a stable. Taisha wanted to actually put out an RFP to have pre-qualified attorneys who we can turn to when these things come up. And maybe we consult with the council on it. The goal being, you don't want to hire two outside lawyers to do the same thing. At the end of the day, if you're not happy, you still would have your ability to expend your funds, but, you know.
The reason I bring that up is sitting on contracts. That's the place where we need,
Well, this person would be an independent outside firm, paid for by the city,
Right.
but not run by the city attorney's office.
Right.
And look, let's be honest, they're gonna do a professional job because they're gonna want to work again, and they have a reputation to defend. There's no way we're dictating to them to do something. And you would have exposure to them, the ability to interview them, they would be making the presentation to the council, that kind of thing. So it'd be quality all around. And I guess still at the end of the day, if you're not happy, you can go hire a third attorney. But
for as long as the goal is to have the authority, but if the council deems it necessary, that we have that authority to go out and see council, the ones that could be ones that are on the pecking list that we have, but we should be able to.
yeah, again, I just, you know, you don't want to pay two outside attorneys to review the same major project. You want to review and see what the outside counsel that's already been paid for has produced. And I'll talk to Taisha about, you know, whether when we do the interviews for a stable of people, whether the council wants to be involved in that, you know, in approving the quality and the parties that are a part of it. That's, we're down in the weeds now. We understand what you're trying to.
So you understand that we would have that, because I haven't always agreed on our economic development department when they put these contracts together. And, you know, we look at them and we find out something else that wasn't told to us. And so that's one of the reasons to have more than one eyes looking at it, to protect not only the council but the city. So I would be in favor of being able to go out if we deem necessary, or the plan that Aisha has in mind that, you know. So I think that that's a good point.
Maria?
Oh, I just wanted to say, the city charter says we have 3 officers. We have a city council president, a majority leader, a minority leader. Somehow I think right now we have 7, under 7, which are not referenced in the city charter. And I just want to say, I don't understand that we're only a 20-member body, and we have like over a third of the I know titles are important to some and all, but I don't understand how we have over a third of the city council body as officers. We're small, and I don't agree with that. We don't need all that. That's just my opinion. Number 2, in regards to, I don't know why we would ever have to put in the charter, the city council shall appropriate a sufficient budget to fund outside counsel. We can do that every year in a budget cycle. We don't have to put it here, right? We can fund whatever we want to fund, correct? So I don't know why we keep seeing this now, that we shall fund this and we shall. We can do it every year during the budget process. So I don't know why we need to say that we have the authority to do so. We already have the authority. We're the appropriating body for Bridgeport. As far as outside legal counsel, everybody should know that right now as the charter stands, the city attorney is not the city council's attorney. The charter says the city attorney serves all the public agencies and the administration, boards and commissions. We are not a board and commission. And I've always tried to tell people, when the previous city attorneys used to say, we are your attorney. The charter says the city attorney serves the administration, public agencies, and boards and commissions. We're not a board or commission, right, guys? We're the co-equal branch of government. We are the legislative body, and now what we're doing is we're literally, there's a change in here to make the city attorney, regardless of who it is, serve every single entity in the city. That's not possible. Nobody can serve 5 masters. And you guys probably know about the Board of Ed. I don't know if you've read the bid that was put out. It was sold to the Board of Ed that it was going to be a cost saving, but now the goal is to pick an outside legal firm and mandate the Board of Education pay for it. So they were sold that it was going to be, have you got emails from board members? I have, school board members. So I went and got the bid from the purchasing department. It's kind of crazy. And so they were sold, this is going to save money, we're going to be your counsel, but now the goal is that they're going to pick an outside counsel. And the goal is that the Board of Ed will pay 100% of the pay. So I just want to say, I'm totally opposed to that, and I don't know why we keep writing we should be able to appropriate money. We can appropriate money to anything we want. I mean,
If I could just respond to a couple of things. What you're saying is accurate, but not new. The Board of Ed has always paid 100% of its outside counsel. What the difference is, if you read that RFP carefully, it specifically says there's no work guaranteed because the city attorney's office is going to be attempting to do more in-house. So they should not be expecting to get the same volume of work as they've had in the past, for which, as I said, they've always paid 100%. And it says in there, and in the contract it will say, there's no guarantee of any work. They'll get what the board determines to send to them.
Right, but I'm
There's
telling
the
you.
second thing, just on the second piece, the charter says a lot of what you say, but it also says the city attorney, the law department is the legal counsel for every officer of the city. And you're all elected officers of the city.
If I could
There's
say,
never been a dispute that the city attorney provides legal representation to the city council. There's an effort here to supplement that with some outside assistance when necessary, and that's your call in the charter. That's all I want to say.
Can I respond to that? We are officers as individuals, but collectively, we're the co-equal branch of government. We are the legislative body. We don't report to the mayor. We're his equal collectively. So when I was sued by Success Village in my capacity as an officer, yes, you have, and that's a state law anyway, you have to represent, we're indemnified. But what I'm saying to you is, what the charter doesn't say is, any city attorney doesn't represent the council.
Well,
And so now we're trying to insert that.
No, it says, I don't think you're correct in your interpretation of what is an officer, but you know what? If we're going to clarify that you have the authority to hire on-site counsel, maybe we want to make sure that you get the benefit of the city attorney's office by putting it in there as well, that the city attorney is the counsel to the city council, but they have the right to go out and do this other stuff. Otherwise, you know, there's arguably, what you're saying is the city attorney can tell you to go jump in a lake and spend a pile of money hiring your own attorney on every issue, which is ridiculous. And that makes no sense because it says the city council can't even adopt an ordinance without an opinion of the city attorney. So let's try to move on and recognize that there's a compromise here that I think makes sense.
That's fine, I can live with that.
Just going to, again, the proposed amendment to Chapter 6, Section 12C, the request by resolution. My only question concern is procedural here. With Councilman Newton.
Oh, so here?
Yeah.
C.
Request by resolution. Does this mean a resolution of the whole council, or does it come from a committee presented to the council? Again, maybe it's too nuanced, but I would just hate to have some issue come up and say, you don't have a legitimate request because you haven't done X, Y, and Z. So
You could simplify it, simply say, I think, the city council by majority vote. can do something. Somebody just makes a
That's
motion.
fine, that's fine.
I mean, I personally, to save money, I would argue you gotta make it 2/3 majority vote, but that's up to you.
Well,
Okay, I just wanted to raise
That's
the issue.
good, that's good, that's good.
yeah, but you could do that, but you also like the plan, I guess, Taisha has, or the city attorney has. Do you still want to do that?
Well, again, this, I think this is sort of like a safety valve to be used, I would like to hope rarely, because it's an additional cost.
Right.
Use it judiciously, use it only when the council, that's why I like the 2/3 majority vote, so people don't just say we're gonna do it routinely
Right.
in order to spend money, so,
But we want to avoid using it for two.
well, that's why you make a 2/3 vote.
See,
Okay, I don't have a problem with this, but I'm gonna say the problem that it's gonna run into
Okay.
is that when these things happen, depending on the subject matter, the previous city attorney, before the acting city attorney, retired acting city attorney came back, said that where's this money gonna come from? So whenever we ask for an outside counsel or anything outside of the scope of what he wanted to do, so hence, the question to this body would be, does this council anticipate always putting in funds for contracted services, which we do now for different things, but it will have to be something that has to be memorialized, and every council moving forward would have to be willing to put that money in, and we all know, and I'm gonna say this, with all kindness and all due respect, is that the council gets scared. They scare themselves with their own rumor mongering and fear mongering about the Board of Education. So they're like, oh, we're about the Board of Ed, but I want to do this, but I want to do that. And then when it comes to the council itself, empowering itself, it backs up. So there has to be a real commitment that the body is going to commit to these dollars every single year in the budget. Because what's going to happen is that we're going to be in a situation, or maybe in the future, maybe not, but I like the idea, I understand it, but there's a funding expectation to it as well. And the expectation is that this would be continually funded, and we know that attorneys aren't cheap. So I just want to make sure that if we go down this road and putting this in there, that there isn't going to be a question from the Bridgeport taxpayers, or that there isn't going to be a, for lack of a better term, a contingent on, look at the council empowering itself and giving itself more money in its budget. Because we already know that the council already backpedaled on the fact of making it salaried when the commission suggested it and they ripped it out of their portion. So I'm just putting that out there, because in 6 weeks, 8 weeks, when we start lobbying for this, people are gonna do the sidestep and be like, that's not what I really wanted to do, so we have to be committed to this. We have to be committed, because you're putting it in the charter that's gonna stay in there for 10 years. It's not a feel-good resolution or feel-good moment, it's a real thing.
May I, Mr. Chair?
We're talking about 100 grand, we're not talking 50,000. Because if we're talking about a development deal, it's gonna be about 100 grand.
Well,
Minimum.
Just recognize the developer is already going to be paying for an outside attorney to represent
Yeah.
the city. And by that, we mean the city council as well as the administration. And any contract that they're retained to, it's going to be clear that they report to, whether it's the contracts committee, the budget committee, or whoever heads up.
Yeah, I know that Tice said that, but I'm just saying, in an instance, it's gonna be 100 grand.
I think you're probably correct.
well, I look at it like this, I think that the council has to come out of the minor leagues to the major leagues, if you want to be a council. And I don't see any problems with strengthening our body to have that independence that we all want. So I don't see a problem with the budget committee. And we have to get the mayor on board, but it's going to be in the charter, so it wouldn't make a difference. That we will be able to find the necessary funds. And I said it before, we're going to create new departments. ethics department, we need to start strengthening our body for the future. Because like I said, we're not gonna be here forever, but you want to leave it better than what you found. And that's what we need to do. And from what Mark said, it's not like we're gonna be calling the legal counsel on every issue, every item. They would only be on certain things.
So if I'm looking at B, it says when we as a council need funds for a resident for legal counsel, it doesn't say, are we saying it's going to pass by a majority? Is that what we're saying? Or you're just saying you're putting in, what are we doing here? Is this like we're putting a resolution in, it's going to pass by a majority like most other things?
Where are you reading?
B, chapter 5B, where it says, when the interests of the city council require provided funds are available for such a purpose, there's going to be a resolution that somebody has to propose. And we're saying that's going to pass by what? I think Mark was saying 2/3. What are we saying there? The resolution has to pass by what threshold?
C reads a present majority for the council.
Oh, see, it says it?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. See, one of the problems is, if you go to the budget meetings, every budget meeting, they talk about where we're seeing more revenue than we should. And often, I hate to say it, I think every year I've been here, we've exceeded the golf course revenues, we've exceeded permits. So my question is, the problem is in the charter, unfortunately, it says the only entity that can propose a line item transfer is the mayor or members of his administration, the finance director, I believe. It says that in the charter. Why is it that only the mayor and the finance director can request a line item transfer? Why
I
aren't
think
we
it
able?
goes beyond that. I think it also
It's
says
in the-
in
the
department
finance-
head. I'm gonna
Department
find-
head, that's what it is, I'm sorry. So what, if the department head can request a line item transfer, right? There's an excess or a deficit here, and the mayor can do it. Can I ask why we don't have that authority?
Good point.
That's a good one.
Well,
Why are we
you
able-
you actually might through the new charter, as I think about it.
Where?
I don't think it defines the question is, I would say you might pick it up. If it simply says department head, you're creating a Department of Legislative Services, so you may be able to do it through that. But here's my real question. I think the application has always been that I, as city attorney, cannot ask for a line item transfer out of the police department into
Right,
the
that's
fire
what I'm
department.
saying.
So, you could attempt to address that in the charter by,
I think we should be able to, if there's a need for funds for this or whatever, so you don't set money aside that might not be used, you can say, okay, the last budget report showed we're 300,000 ahead in building permits or whatever, or, I'm always in favor of taking money away from the police department. So, I mean, wherever you think, we can see it. You get a report every month, right, in budget? Why can't the city council itself, a department head, I think you're right, Mark, if you're the head of legislative affairs, why would you be requesting a line transfer, not out of your budget, but to take out of the police department? But I believe Ken Plato, I shouldn't say Ken, the finance director, I believe, what was next week? Yes, please.
Oh, yeah.
But all I'm saying is, why, as the co-equal branch of government, where we approve a budget, we can't request a line item transfer? And why don't we have that authority?
well,
And I think we should change that. We're not gonna be
Discuss this.
irresponsible.
I'm not saying this is the, total everything, but we do one-year budgets, and we do the best we can. And the last 8, 9 years, we've ended up most years within 1% of the overall budget. So we're doing okay, and then we try to make adjustments going forward. You're right, we've underestimated certain revenue lines over the years.
It's a guesstimate.
Others come in lower, so it's a give and take. So I would just be leery that the council would start to potentially go after a certain department and say, we're gonna take money from you, and mid-year, and you get a,
Well, it's a majority of the whole, so if
Sure.
there's people who
I
don't
mean,
support it, like any
you
other
could.
thing. And I just think if everybody in the administration can do it, why can't we do it? I think that's fair.
Well, I think there's a slight difference as well in terms of the department head doing it versus the council doing it. The way the budget process is set up, the mayor introduces a budget, the council has a line item veto authority, only line item. If you allow unfettered council manipulation during the fiscal year, it's undermining that. Let's be honest, no department head is asking for a line item transfer without the mayor's approval, or they're not gonna be a department head next month. So the thing is, you don't wanna not only micromanage, but frankly disrupt the budget during the course of the year, and even plant in the minds of the department heads, I gotta spend money, because if I have money left over, someone's gonna take it away from me. You know, I just think it's set up that the mayor is obligated through his department heads to submit a budget, you review it, you weigh in on it, you modify it as you want, and then you monitor it. And if you feel there needs to be money, believe me, the council leadership can go to the mayor and say, we need money for this purpose. Or you go to the finance director. And if it makes sense and you've got political clout, it's gonna happen. It's not like there's not an avenue, but it doesn't have constant yin and yang all year long. So I think it's a
I
bad
gotta say, I
idea.
don't think
but
that would
it's-
ever happen. I really don't.
All right, let's, I think what we could.
I think this. Yes, we're supposed to be a co-branch of government. But I would be very cautious about giving the council that kind of authority. And I'll tell you why. Because I don't want it where you would have a city council in battling with whoever the mayor is. Because that's what's going to happen. Because you got people that, for whatever reason, have their own agendas. And I don't know if any mayor would agree the way we're set up now. And I haven't, have you, since we've been budget chairs, I haven't seen many people coming in asking for line item, just two maybe.
two that come to mind.
Okay, to ask for it. So it's not something, right, it's not something that's done, right? Just maybe three at the most, in 4 years I've been on as budget co-chair. So it's not something that is done on a regular basis, where you got people asking for line item, moving monies around.
Can I just say they're doing it, but they're not following the charter and getting the council to approve it. Remember, there was a year where we did an audit and the city attorney's outside counsel line was an extra $2 million. And when I asked, where did the $2 million come from? The finance director said, well, it needed some refreshing. And he just pushed $2 million into that item and never came to the council.
I could be wrong, but my understanding is where that money you speak of came from was specific reserves set up with the auditors for certain pending litigation for various cases. It was approved by the auditors as placed in a reserve at the end of the year when funds were left over in the fiscal year, because we were protecting it against pieces of major litigation. And then it was utilized for those purposes.
All right, for the sake of time, with regard to Eugene's changes, let's finalize that. For section 3, the absence of disability of mayor vacancy. Mark, you're not comfortable with the way it's written now?
Well, I just don't know whether you are intending to memorialize a variety of officers beyond what are listed here. If this is as far as you're going to go, or if you're comfortable with going, let's assume the president, the pro tem, and the majority leader are not there, and you have no minority leader, which is probably a fairly distinct possibility, then maybe the next thing is you simply follow Robert's rules
And
and FOI, and you elect one of the minority, deputy majority leader, so you can go with this, I guess. The only question is, do you really want to put the minority leader in there?
Right.
Or do you want to take the minority leader out? Because it's a little odd that you would have, let's assume there's a minority leader of one, now chairing your council. I like the idea of minority representation, but not minority running the meeting.
Right.
So I would suggest you get rid of the minority leader. If you don't have the others, then they elect somebody. And the minority leader can run for the election if they choose.
Jeanette?
I know anytime the mayor is gone, he usually calls the council president. If the council president's not available, they'll call the next one. So I think what's been put here is good, as far as leaving the three,
Right.
pro temp, majority leader and minority leader. Mark, I agree with you, but just like the council president, she represents us all. If there's a minority leader on there, why not? I mean, it's one meeting.
It's
It's
not
not
likely to
like,
ever happen, but
Exactly,
we either
but
have one or
I would
you'll
leave
get
it
that far
because-
down, so I don't care.
I'll leave it.
I have a question.
Okay, please.
Well,
On C, it says for any, for any reason on any issue or issues related to city matters when in the opinion of a present majority of the council. That should read with the opinion of a majority of the whole. I don't know what that means, present majority, are we talking about just people who are there?
Well, theoretically, what you could have under that rule is you could have 11 people there and 6 people
No.
could spend money on outside lawyers. So I
So it
want
should be a majority of the whole.
but a minimum, if you don't want to go to 2/3, it should at least be a majority of the whole.
Majority of the whole, yeah.
where are you at, Maria?
On C, you see, it says on the second line, in the opinion of a present majority. So you could have a meeting with 11 council people, and somebody could have that resolution and get 6 votes, and it's done. So it should always be a majority of the whole, 20 positions, whether they're vacant, in the hospital, whatever, you have to get 11 votes. A majority of the whole.
I will put a majority of the whole.
So,
We're talking about C. And it says, a request by resolution can be made for such outside counsel at any time for any reason on any issue or issues related to city matters when in the opinion of a majority of the whole, comma, it is necessary, blah, blah, blah.
I'm fine with that.
That's fine.
That's fine.
all right. So we're good with that, and 3, we're just gonna keep pro temporary majority leader, minority leader, and strike everything else.
Well, she still has the right to appoint, you know,
Yeah, but it doesn't-
deputies and.
But it doesn't have to be in the
Right, it doesn't
charter.
have to be in the
It's
charter.
Right.
Right.
So we'll just, all right. So we'll just,
Still gives the
we'll just
council
keep
president.
president, pro temporary,
Right.
everything else is, we'll scratch that out.
Yeah, because she's still gonna appoint
Beautiful.
whoever she wants.
We're crossing out what?
We're just keeping president, pro temporary, majority leader, and minority leader.
Yeah, you don't
And the
need,
rest of it's being crossed out?
Yeah, because whoever the president is, still has the right to appoint.
Well, it's in Robert's Rules of Order.
Correct.
Right.
right, but I'm a little confused.
Don't be confused.
If the council president's not there, she's not appointing anyone. If none of these officers are there under FOI and Robert's rules, the council elects one of them.
Yeah.
Right.
So we don't need this, I agree with you, we don't need it. But it's not because the council president picks it, it's because the bodies pick
Correct. Absolutely. All right.
That's the way it's done.
So that was
Okay?
chapter 5. So we make progress with chapter 5. Hold on.
No, you can't cross out the rest of the sentence because it doesn't make sense then.
Hold on, Frank.
It doesn't make sense. We gotta fix that because it's an unfinished sentence if you remove, and if none of the foregoing shall agree to assume the duty. If you take that out, it's a sentence that doesn't finish. Can we just say, unable to perform the duties to his office, the president of the city council, the president pro tem, the majority leader, in that, and now if you take after in that order out, it's an incomplete sentence.
Why is,
You could say, or if none of the foregoing are present, the members of the council in attendance shall elect one of their members to preside over the.
I'm sorry, but why is the mayor even in here when we took the mayor out of running the meetings? I'm confused.
Well, that's a entirely different question.
But it says if the event is
I
temporary.
agree with you. I wasn't aware that you had gotten to the point where the mayor was not.
We haven't got there yet.
But
But it's in
Then
here,
you'll
right?
come back and revisit it when if you pass that.
Right, once we take that out, I mean, he's writing it the way it is,
Okay.
so when we get to the mayor's piece,
All right, so let's,
So we're leaving that sentence in there?
yeah, you can say that.
For right now, because it's in here, right?
Okay.
Because we never really looked in our draft this
Right.
whole time. Page 19,
That makes sense.
okay. All right.
under A, powers, duties, responsibilities of the president of the city council in addition to those set forth in this charter may be established by ordinance or by the city council or the board. B, effective December 1st, 2031, at the beginning of each term of office, the city council shall elect a majority leader and minority leader. As used in this chapter, the term majority leader shall refer to the leader selected by the council members from the party having the largest number of members on the city council, and the minority leader shall mean the leader selected by council members from the party or parties other than one having the largest number of members on the city council. In addition, the powers, duties, and responsibilities of majority leader and minority leader set forth in this chapter in section 5, office of legislative services, additional powers, duties, and responsibilities may be established by ordinance or the city council rules of order. The city council president shall preside at the meetings of the city council and shall have one vote.
So now you have a conflict already.
Yes, that's why I read it out loud.
You
Yeah.
probably at a minimum want to add in here, the council's also going to elect a president pro tem
Right,
and such deputy majority leaders as they so choose. Because you may have one, you may have five, you may have none.
right.
And then the question is, you're probably going to put the sergeant at arms in here as well. You don't have to because they're not in the
Right.
earlier,
Right,
but at least
you're gonna have to put it in there.
you got to at least
You have to change
put president
it.
pro tem
Right.
and such deputy majority leaders as the council chooses.
Just
You're
saying,
saying
there's
there's
an
an
error.
error pro tem?
What?
It should have said this effective
Don't you
December
elect them all, you nominate them in
2026.
council
Yes.
ratify?
This is your draft?
Maybe it's a point.
Is this your draft?
I think
This is
not
on yours, but this is not
So
what
let's back up, maybe you're
we
correct.
submitted.
These are elected,
This-
when you do the, I apologize for having a side from here, but I honestly don't recall.
when the
you do
council president is elected, the council selects
nominates,
the full
subject to
the
ratification.
majority, the minority, and everybody else.
Well, maybe you want to have a separate paragraph that puts that in here, because otherwise, you've got them referenced in another section, and they don't exist in the charter.
Yes, right.
So you should add them in,
2025.
but specify, as you say, that these other positions will be appointed by the council president subject to ratification, which has been the historic practice.
Right.
So we need to write something up for that, which, if you wanted something better to do, I'll type up for.
Also, for the effective December 1st, it should say 2025 instead of 2031.
26.
2026.
2025,
It's
actually, it should be
2025.
2025, because you guys get
2025.
elected in November,
Yeah, that's what you're
so
talking
it's
about.
2025.
I just want to bring that to the chair of the
Thank you,
attention.
Michelle.
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
this takes effect, this takes, yeah, push it. This takes effect.
Just see what the current charter is.
Oh, yeah.
See what it says.
And you have to run ad.
December 1st, when
First meeting, the council is in December, correct?
So see, the current charter says, the charter shall take effect at 11:59 p.m. local time on January 1, 1993. That's probably
January 1 or December 1?
well, no, it's January.
You have to run notices, you have to run the whole,
Publish it, you're gonna do all
you have to
that.
run the whole approved
You're
charter.
not gonna get it done by December 1.
Say that again? I'm sorry.
January 1, 93?
Yeah. All I'm saying is, if this charter passed,
Yes.
it should become effective no earlier than January 1 of 26.
Okay.
That's all.
I want to ask a question.
John.
Okay, so we talked about this, about giving elected officials more power via ordinance, which was not legal. You have to give elected officials power by listing the powers in the charter, so the voter provides the power. You can't have 11 council people give any other elected official more power. Not the governor, not the legislature, not the president of the United States. You would have to do, in their case, constitutional amendments. You can't give them more powers without taking it to the voter.
Well,
So the powers need to be delineated here. I'm not talking about a process. I'm not talking about process.
no, you raised this yesterday, and we need to weigh in on it. But I think you're probably overstating it, because I think the legislature gives the governor power in a lot of instances when they adopt new laws and say the governor will do X, Y, or Z, or the legislature will do X, Y, and Z.
In line with the Connecticut Constitution.
So
Well,
you're
there's
saying,
nothing here that says we're violating the city charter, but we'll get a
Right.
definitive legal opinion.
So,
And I do know other cities have similar language in their charter.
so it can only go into effect January 1 of 2026? That's the...
Yes, for the effective date of the charter. And the reason I say that is because you're somehow making this piece effective at a different date.
Yeah, so it has to be all set at once.
You don't actually, I would say, frankly, I would say, if it's not going to be a date different than January 1 of 26, I wouldn't put a date in here at all. And it'll be effective upon adoption with the rest of the charter. Just say, but here you're talking at the beginning of each term. At the beginning of each term of office, so it would become, it would not be effective for your current term. That's the problem, and I don't see how it can be. Because if this charter becomes effective January 1,
They were already elected November under the old charter.
right?
So it would be actually January the following.
It'll be the following year, because these offices get elected annually, I believe.
No, every 2 years.
Scott
Oh,
Burns.
no.
No, we do it.
Scott Burns.
Thank you, Chair. So it does not seem reasonable that this could be enacted this December
No,
coming
it
up if it were voted. But I think, yeah, there's those procedural issues of publishing and noticing and all that. So it would be the next succeeding council election, which would be 27, right, 2027. So maybe we don't need that, and not to open a can of worms, but there's some language, I think it's under the mayor's chapter, about appointing town clerks, tax collectors, people like that, like every 2 years. And I think that goes back to when the mayor was a 2-year
2-year
appointment.
yeah.
So, again, maybe it's something that, you know, we've talked about sort of that sunset window or
Cleaning that
chapter.
language up, yeah.
But, you know, there are still some, you know, inky matters out there. But I think it just, yeah, and maybe to Mark's point, just take the date out, and once it's approved and in effect, it's in effect.
It's in effect.
So effective upon,
No, just say at the beginning of each term of office.
Now, to the point you raised, since there won't really be a new beginning of the term of office until 27, that's when it would come into play.
That's what I'm asking.
So do
It's
you want
better
to put
than
the date?
31, but it's obviously not.
It's not this year either. So should we put a date?
No.
No?
You put it in the sunset in the back.
Gotcha.
Right. So we
Right.
take it out the
We can
date.
make
So
it the
just-
sunset
Just
language.
take out
So
the
just
sentence.
put,
Just take out the effective.
at the beginning of each term.
Yep.
Right.
All right, so delete effective December 1st, 2020.
Right, so,
And it'll start at the beginning.
right.
Beautiful. All right.
Can I ask you a question? Through you. So I really want to understand this. We all go to vote on November 7th. And when we vote on November 7th, we're at that point under the charter that currently exists, right? When we go vote. So that means, can anything affecting anybody's individual office go into effect while we're in our 2 or 4 year term we get elected to? Because on November 7th, everybody went to the polls and voted under the existing charter. If I'm in a 2-year term and somebody's in a 4-year term and voters voted for them that day under the existing charter, nothing changing those elected officials can take place until the following election. I'm asking.
Which I think is why they were pushing out the sheriff piece.
To 2031.
Correct.
Yeah, but the city clerk, the town clerk.
That's 2031.
Okay, so that's what, so we have that for there.
Mhm.
So wouldn't it be the exact same thing for everything related to the council, seeing that on November 7th, everybody's electing us on that day under the existing charter? So really, isn't it correct that no changes could take place until the next election?
No.
I don't-
Related to
I don't think so. You're talking,
I'm asking.
in those situations, you're talking about impacting either the existence of their office at all, like the sheriff, or the duration of the term for which they were elected. As far as adopting provisions that govern how you run the government, I don't think you want to have 2 charters in play. One that applies for another 2 years, and one that doesn't come into play for 2 years thereafter. That's why what the public's voting on is an effective date. And you put the effective date in it. And that's why we put the effective date of January 1 of 26.
That's
So this-
Okay. Mark,
This document that was shared does say that amendments are effective 30 days after election. So I don't know if that means.
That's why you can't do December 1st?
Yeah, so it says December 4th. I mean, if, after the elections.
I think just leave it at you.
no, I think we have the ability that if this new election comes in, and let's say the charter passes with all these changes, it's my understanding that the new charter will take effect, whether it's for council president being able to, or the city council being able to do whatever it is we need to do once this election is over in November. So then, from my understanding, she will be chairing the meetings, and it would be, that would be all demand, should this pass. And you wouldn't have to wait till 2027.
Well, we probably did you a bit of a disservice, frankly, in that at the tail end of the on this version that was given to you, okay, we have transitional provisions on starting on page 84 of this document. And it does, they move the effective date from the very end up to the very beginning. And it's similar to the current charter. It says, the charter shall take effect at 11:59 p.m. local time on January 190. This
I'm
says
sorry,
90.
what
It says-
section?
it says 94.
Yeah, but what section?
It's
Last page.
page
Page
84. It's got to, the date needs to be changed, because it's not going to be January 1 of 1993. It's going to be January 1 of 2026. So they moved it, but they didn't change the date.
Right.
It's obviously a typo.
All right, so you make
That's
a
a
note,
big typo.
you make a note of that, okay?
Yep.
All right,
Okay.
Let's move on.
let's go.
Where are we back now?
Still on page 19. I think we've exhausted section B.
Yep.
Yep,
C, the city council may create such other positions on the city council as it may be necessary. The powers, duties, and responsibilities of these positions shall be established by the ordinance or by the city council rules of order. The city clerk and deputy city clerk shall be clerk of the city council and all committees appointed by the city council.
Okay, I agree.
Let's
I think it'd be right
Hold on.
here. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were-
No. Section 4, meeting procedures. The city council let's see. Shall hold regular meetings at such times as may be fixed by ordinance and may be especially convened at any time by the mayor or city council president and shall be convened by him or upon the written request of 3 council members within 14 days.
The suggestion was to change that to 7.
7, right?
7 days.
Yeah, to amend that to 7.
7.
What page are we on? And Paul?
Page 19.
You have to miss 19, Mark. Now we're on page 20.
I have a question.
Office of Legislative Services.
I have a question.
Let's see. To the charter commission, this is all, you added all this?
Yes.
This is all new ones, okay.
I have a question on page 19.
There shall be nonpartisan offices of
Okay.
legislative services. Yes.
I have a question on page 19. Okay.
There shall be a nonpartisan office of legislative services with full-time professional and clerical staff to provide assistance to city council. The office of legislative services shall be provided adequate space for its operation and shall be supplied with all equipment and incidental served for the proper discharge of its duties to be paid from the general fund as appropriated. The role of the office of legislative services is to support and implement the goals and the mission of the city council.
I think that's good. The personnel committee, it says there shall be a personnel committee composed of the president of the city council, majority leader, minority leader. If you're going to change and put President Pro Tem in the cycle of it, since we're making a change, it should be included, I guess. Because you don't have no minority leader,
Well, not now.
not now, but I'm saying.
CPA fund or something.
Or you just want to keep the majority leader and council president? 'Cause that was-
I think we can change that in the rules.
Can you?
We can do that in the rules.
Well, not if we designate it here.
But we can't add it in the rules in the event that the
Not if it's
member.
gonna deviate from the charter, we can't amend the charter.
So you have to add,
So we'll put that in there. How about we put a clause in the event that there is no minority leader, the president pro tem will sit,
for A,
or A, yeah.
first line?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they won't please, the chair, you have to have them.
Yep. So just add
In the event
in the event.
There is no minority leader, okay.
of no minority leader, president pro tem
709.
will sit on.
So why we gotta move it? Why we gotta move it? In the event of no minority leader, the president pro tem. Shall substitute.
Right.
Mike, you clean
Am I
up.
going to be allowed to ask my question?
What's your question, Maria?
Okay, on page 19D, the language that was not changed contradicts what you're putting in other sections, because it says in the absence of the president, the council, the city council may choose one of its members to act as president. Isn't that contradictory to what you're laying out here, that when the chief president goes to the pro tem? It's saying here and now there's going to be an election. This contradicts what I think what you're doing. In section meeting procedures 4, the reason it's 14 days, I asked for that, because remember it used to say that you could call a special meeting and the mayor has a reasonable time to call the special meeting. I'm the one who said we need to define that. But the reason it's at 14 days, so just so you're aware, is that's the state statute for anybody who calls a special meeting of a school board. So I'm just bringing that to your attention. That's why it's at 14 days, and I request that to be defined. Because when it says the mayor can call it within a reasonable amount of time, that's open to interpretation.
But this is not the school board.
No, I know, but I'm telling you why it aligned with the state statute where 3 members of a school board could call a special meeting. But this section here, the black, seems to contradict what you're saying, that when the president is absent, that it's gonna be definitely the pro tem who runs the meeting, okay? And, again, you have another line here that you can add extra positions by ordinance. You can't add extra city council positions by ordinance. It's what's in the charter.
It's all the same. Make it easier.
All you have to do is, sorry, through the chair, is probably just add in front of majority leader, insert president pro tem, majority leader, and minority leader, set forth in this chapter, section 5. That's it. So that's the only title that's missing here.
President Pro Tem?
The majority leaders in there,
And minority leader.
and minority leaders, so we need that as president.
We don't elect a minority leader or majority leader, they're ratified by the council's appointment,
Well, they're in
so
the
that's
charter.
where it says in the charter that it's missing the agricultural. Section B.
Yeah, section B. The only ones that's in the charter is the council president, majority leader, and minority leader.
Change it.
Yeah, we're just gonna add pro tem wherever, before where it says majority leader or pro tem in that.
Right. That's all.
Insert pro
Add
tem.
that, insert pro tem.
Yeah, so that's pretty good.
You think that's the black line?
Yeah. So I think, and I think it raises the other week as well, or whenever, that line after the new red section under B, in the absence of the council president, blah, blah, blah. There's also stipulation that whoever is chosen has an extra vote, which
That always has to be.
makes no sense to me. So I would say take out that sentence.
Where are you?
I'm sorry, I'm still in B, in the
Right,
black. So, yeah, I think we should take that out,
It's contradictory.
but leave in the event of the death, resignation, or inability to act by the council president, council
So
shall.
I just have a question, to the chair.
Sure.
So then, if that's the case, just a rebuttal, then committee chairs, when they chair meetings, when they break the tie, should not be voting, because committee chairs have voted, so then it's a contradiction.
I got a question on
What
that.
is it?
But that's a Robert's rules,
Yes, it is. Robert's rules allows you to vote,
I got a question.
or not.
or not.
That has little to do with that line.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Scott,
Hold on, Mark,
No, I was just gonna say, Robert's rule says that in committees, the chair may or may not, in their own discretion, vote. But they may vote when it affects the outcome, which is not just breaking a tie. It's also making a tie that kills an item, or getting to a two-thirds majority if you have a supermajority requirement. I think the purpose of whoever's chairing the meeting was that that person stepping in the role of the mayor who gets to vote to break a tie, they retain their vote as a council member, and they only get to vote to break a tie.
So they have one vote.
No, they,
I got a question.
No.
they only have one vote most of the time.
No.
But
Where's
if
that
they
happening
step in,
anywhere?
I think the current charter, listen,
That's the
the
way-
current
that's the way
charter
it
says
is.
that.
I know, but it's,
Hold on.
Okay, if you think it's wrong, then you're effectively neutering the powers of the person chairing. The purpose of having a chair is that they get to break the tie.
the tie is decided, it fails.
Eugene?
Let
You
me,
need to break a
let me,
tie. It fails.
I just, look at the current practice is whoever's, it says very distinctly that the council president, I believe, when she sits, gets 2 votes.
And that
That's
saying
why-
that that's not all right.
I got a question.
Well, it is right. That's what
But I'm
charter says.
saying,
You don't have to do it. It's your call. I'm just saying that's what's there now.
Let me,
I think, can I clarify that? Just a clarifying question. So what Scott, I want to interpret this correctly. What Scott is saying, Councilman Burns is saying, is that if the council president begins to chair the meeting, it's no longer like the mayor, in the essence of the mayor. So in my mind, okay, yes, the council president no longer is, because they're chairing the meeting, they're the chair of the meeting, the council, come to the council all of the time, where the mayor doesn't sit in anymore. But then if it's another member of the body, the majority, the pro tem, they should have, because they're in essence being, well, I would be when the mayor is active to under 2 votes.
So maybe I
Does that make sense?
misunderstood.
No.
Is that what you're saying, Scott?
I disagree.
You disagree with all of that, but then that makes no sense.
I got a question.
Because I can understand
Are
the
you
council
talking
president
about when
loses
the
2
council-
votes. The council president loses 2 votes, cannot vote at all because you're cheering. So as the chair, you shouldn't be voting in a meeting. And only if you want to impact the outcome. So you're saying I only have 1 vote. Right? That's what you're saying? So I vote once.
Well,
But in the essence, in the effort, if the mayor, seeing as the mayor presides now, the mayor gets to break a tie, but I still get to keep my vote, even if I'm sitting there.
I hear what all of you are now saying, which is when the mayor is no longer chairing the meetings as a regular matter, because you're apparently going to change that. When that happens, I think you're both saying the same thing. Now the council
I'm asking you
president
for that.
is actually the chair of the meeting and may exercise their vote should they choose to do so, but only really is required to do it when it affects the outcome. You know?
Stop something or break a tie.
Right.
Usually.
That's your call. You can
Let
define
me say
it.
this.
Robert's
So go ahead,
rules-
Ernie.
Robert's rules only comes in when you don't define something.
Let me say
You can
this.
define
Let me
whatever
say
you want.
this. The mayor, the way it's set up now, the mayor gets to break the tie. If the council president sits in that chair, okay? I'm chairing the meeting. You can't take away, well, you can take away the power that a council president gets to vote twice. Okay, again, like I told you before, you shouldn't take power away from, if we're gonna do this. She's gonna be acting as when the mayor sits. And I was always told as council president that I represent the district. I don't, if I was citywide, that would be something. But I represent a district too. Okay, and they ought to have a voice too, with me being able to vote. But by her being, or him being the council president, they ought to be able to vote. I don't, I think it's wrong if you dilute it. You're taking away anybody's right to represent their district too.
The right is whatever you determine the right is in the charter. Currently, the language reads, the president of the city council shall preside in the absence of the mayor, and when so presiding, shall have a casting vote in the case of a tie, in addition to his or her vote as council member.
Right.
Now, obviously, this is in a scenario where they're looking to have the council president wear 2 hats. As a council member and sitting in the mayor's seat to break the tie. Now, you can define it however you want going forward when the council president is routinely presiding over the meeting. But Robert's rules only comes in when your own rules don't govern, or in this instance, the charter does. So decide what you want to do and do it.
Well, I'm just gonna go here. If the council president is gonna preside on all our meetings, it's still 20 votes. How are we going to break a tie if we have 20 votes? But that's easier said than done, because the mayor's up there as 21.
That's right.
So I think we should keep that,
That's right.
because that person is the deciding vote, and yes, that person represents their district. I don't think we should get rid of that.
No, you shouldn't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brandon?
You're still representing your district. We're in this country, whether it's the Connecticut, the Congress, you don't see the vice president, you don't get 2 votes. You don't get through the majority leader in Congress. You don't get Matt Ritter in the House legislature doesn't get 2 votes. Martin Looney doesn't get 2 votes. They're elected there by their district. They get 1 vote. And they are the leaders of the House and the Senate. Same in Congress. Nobody gets 2 votes. Our country's famous for what? 1 person, 1 vote. So when you go, I think the council president should be able to vote on everything while they're chairing the meeting. But a tie is a tie and the motion fails. Now, in the United States Senate, right? And here in Connecticut, the lieutenant governor in the Senate, if there's a tie, a totally different person comes and can break a tie. The vice president of this country in the US Senate, a totally different person, still one person, one vote, breaks the tie. This idea that somebody is going to get 2 votes is so antithetical to what this country says, one person, one vote.
I
I'm
got it.
totally opposed to that.
I got an
I'm
idea.
totally opposed to that.
The mayor can come and break the
If
tie.
you're gonna tie, the mayor gets to come in.
By the way, the mayor can only break certain ties. He
Not an
can't,
ordinance, you can't do it.
Listen,
he can't break a tie in an ordinance or electing the president.
I was going to come up with that suggestion. Since you want to take the power from the council, and in the case of a tie, the mayor can break the tie.
But
Okay, and only in the case of a tie, it's 10-10, the mayor has a right to break the tie.
You want the
Now,
same, you want the
here's the
same
problem.
restrictions you got.
He's not gonna be there.
But that's the problem.
But not on ordinances or who the president is, because that's prohibited now.
But you know what?
He can't break the tie.
Hold on.
But that means he has
The
to come every
practical
meeting.
answer is, you're absolutely right, the mayor's not gonna sit there in the
No,
event
he's not gonna
he's
sit
waiting for a
there.
tie.
No,
It
Well,
fails.
right, he's not gonna.
And doesn't the United States and the state of Connecticut, they don't run by Robert, because they run by what?
Mason's rules and orders.
Masons. So it's different, their rules are different than
So
ours.
again, those rules, Mason's rules, Robert's rules, those only come into play where you haven't defined it in your own
I think
specifics.
it would be, it doesn't make sense in having a mayor come in and potentially, he may or may not need to break it back, you never know. I mean, how many times do we have ties in the council?
Not many.
So then, it's a moot point, except that the council president should be able to vote twice to every point, and then that point, to break this one.
Scott Burns.
Yeah. So I heartily agree, one person, one vote. I don't know how that got put in the first place.
Me either.
If we did want to add the provision that the mayor could come in to vote to break a tie in certain votes, I mean, let's be realistic, he's not gonna come in
It's not gonna
and
be there.
vote on, something or other. But, again, we've had notable controversial issues before us with close votes, and maybe that's a time when he, she comes in and says, I'm gonna be there in case there's a tie, and I'm gonna vote. You know, the vice president isn't at every Senate hearing.
No.
They call
Only
it.
the close ones.
I'm gonna say that sometimes we think something's gonna be the easiest thing, and then it becomes the
The hardest, yeah.
The hardest thing. And it's a simple vote, and it's like, oh my God, I can't believe we're here for 45 minutes, and we're deadlocked on a debate of something so simple, so. That to me would mean either 2 things, that the mayor will be able to phone in a vote, we can phone a friend, or we'll be able to phone them in, have them.
That's the only way you're gonna get them.
That's the only way you're gonna get them, and
Or
you
her.
better have to tell
That's
her.
why you're
or
gonna get
the
this
individual.
particular.
Exactly. So there has to be a provision, I'm just, maybe I'm being, a little,
No,
snarky, but in reality, Elliker doesn't know what Elliker, Ganem, Ronan, Barunin, they don't know, Simpson, they don't know when there's going to be a tie. You can't predict.
Jeanette?
We've never had a tie.
The whole idea, you're trying to get the mayor out of the equation for these meetings. Now, you're talking ties and pulling him back in. I don't agree with pulling him back in. If you're gonna try to get him out, then get him out completely and figure out another alternative.
A tie fails. That's what ever happens in every committee. A tie, it is resolved. A tie fails.
Might have to.
It does not usually be because usually what happens.
We've never had a tie.
We've had ties in committee and.
No, I'm talking about the
chair
council.
To change the
I'm
outcome.
sorry.
Thank you, Ernie. Through the chair, and he keeps ignoring it. Something that I don't think was taken into account at all that you guys should also look at is the organization meeting where the president's elected. Like at least once a year, the mayor goes in, runs the first meeting at the Board of Ed until a chair is elected. So maybe you think of that for the council president election. Because if you take him out, then who's going to run that meeting where the president's elected?
Which is the way it's done in the Board of Ed.
Board of Ed, he comes in that one meeting a year that he
I think it
runs.
stayed in there, didn't it?
You don't know why.
I don't think they changed that though, in the charter.
How did we change that?
But if he's not running the meeting, then who's gonna run the first meeting?
Can I just say, that I've been on the Board of Ed, he only comes until the president's elected.
Correct.
Then he hands the gavel over for every other officer, okay? I don't care if the mayor chaired the meeting every year where we elected the president, and then after that, if there's anybody else that needs, there's nobody else that needs to be elected? Okay, so, okay, I don't have an issue with that.
That's fine.
But I have an issue with any person having 2 votes. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Nobody else gets 2 votes at the polls or anywhere else.
That is a good point.
A tie is resolved, it's
We
in.
never really had a time in council.
I can't think of a tie.
I've
since
never-
I've
He will allow debate to continue or he drives the conversation. If you've ever seen him where we hit a time, he drives the conversation for 2 more minutes and then he makes the, how about we just table suggestion or send it back to committee.
But how can you do
He has
that?
done that.
No,
Are we
once.
still on section
Twice he voted.
4?
No.
No, I've never broken a tie in 6 years.
I'm still on section 4?
Yes.
Generally,
He's never broken a tie. He either sends it back to committee or he has a statement.
Through
Or
the
he
chair,
figures how to get it denied.
an observation. You're dealing with an issue that may come up very occasionally.
That's right.
right.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
So perhaps a middle way is to just offer the opportunity to table it till the next meeting, and then the importance of the vote and the controversy can have an opportunity to resettle itself, and as things cool, and bring it up again, and then,
That's what we've done.
and then at the end of that, let the rules preside. Perhaps it wasn't a good idea. You submitted it to time and energy.
Because
I don't mean to be taking away your vote, your additional vote, but it's undemocratic at its base.
table is still non-debatable, right?
I'm sorry.
So anybody can move to table something non-debatable. I agree with you, John Marshall, that this solves the issue for us, because you have an opportunity to table it and bring it back and twist some arms and
That's
try
what the
to
mayor
get
has done every time we've kind of almost been back on board. He avoids breaking the tie. We have that conversation all the time.
3 words, time will tell.
Mark, can you pay attention to it?
What's up?
Once the vote's had, once we have a vote and it's a tie, you can't table it. It's on the floor, there's a tie. You can't table it
Well,
now. No, the vote's been held.
you are correct. Once the vote is announced.
And by the way, it could also,
to be announced.
and by the way,
And the table
what if
takes
it's time
precedent over any
sensitive
other
and
motion.
somebody uses a maneuver? I'm just saying, what if it's a time sensitive matter? I'm sorry, the vote's had. Whether he's there or not to break the tie, that's it. The vote's been held. You can't table a vote because you don't like the outcome.
You can change your vote, people have changed.
You can
your
change
vote
it there,
all
that
the
night.
time.
You can make a
Right there.
motion to reconsider. Absolutely. You can't table the vote because you don't like the outcome and say, let's table it till the next meeting. No, that's,
If parliamentary procedure, maybe I'm wrong, until the vote is taken,
Until the vote is called by the chair.
until the vote is called by the chair, 10 days, 10 days. If that's not done, you can move the table.
so the chair cannot call a vote whenever they want to prevent an outcome they don't like?
That's maneuvers
No.
that they use.
Well,
No.
until
It's
the,
a maneuver.
until the vote is called, someone can make a
That's
motion
right.
to table. However, once the vote is taken, it's too late to table that. You have to announce the results.
You can table it before the vote's taken, yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Not after
I
the
don't
vote.
think you can, I
No,
don't
he
have the
has-
law in front of me, but I don't think you can actually take the vote and then decline to announce the results.
Yes. You can't.
In order to table
Can you
it.
imagine how that would
If
become?
you get a read of the room and you want to table it because you're not certain of the outcome, that's one thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Table it before the vote's held,
Right.
not after.
So this is all still section 4?
Yeah?
It's our section, that's why.
Right, and we clearly have a lot of opinions, and
Well,
we
that was
have
in
no
section
idea where we're
one.
going with this. So let's table
No.
this.
That was in section
Motion to
3.
table.
Wait.
Non-debatable, non-debatable.
Let's just move on, we'll discuss this Saturday.
They don't want to discuss
Well,
I
it.
think
clearly
there
we-
should be a poll taken before we leave the room.
Mhm.
So that way, when those that are not present today. are-
Anonymous poll?
No, take a,
Mhm.
take a poll now of everybody that's here, council members that are here, where their stance is, so that way when you get everybody in the room that's there, they can understand where it left off, so that way you're not rehashing the whole thing.
Right.
Okay.
This is the poll, it's just a poll, so people know where the,
What's
what
the
the room
question?
was like when we left.
What's the question?
One vote, two vote.
One vote, two votes.
All right.
The council president or the chair, the chair or the chair of the meeting, whether it's the council president or your designee in their absence, has two votes, or is it just one vote? So there's no breaking of the tie. That's the poll.
One vote or two votes?
Yep.
All right.
I think whoever is the council president should have 2 votes.
Michelle?
That's the basis for
One vote.
Hold on.
Two.
Bernie says 2.
Yeah.
Michelle says,
One. I don't
Jeanette?
understand the two.
Jeanette?
I said two.
2.
Just
Maria?
I'm not on your
You
committee.
know,
No, shit, sorry. Well, you said those present.
those president, those
You're
council.
present, you're
Oh,
here.
come on, absolutely not. It'll be a basis for defeating the separate polls.
Item? Scott Burns?
2 votes for one person.
Well, then
Hmm?
One.
is it a tie?
This is the chapter.
It's a tie.
Chair, can you raise the tie?
I'm not making,
Chair, can you
we're
raise the
moving
tie?
on.
Are you gonna make it a tie, Jim?
It's a tie.
Twice?
Hold on, Chair.
We've got 31.
So how much? It's 7 o'clock.
All right, we got 7:33, where are we going next?
What's
Let's
the
see.
agenda say?
7 o'clock.
If it says 7 o'clock, you can't
Oh, that's
continue.
right.
It doesn't say 7
It
o'clock.
doesn't say
That's what they're
7.
saying. I don't know.
7:35 to 7.
Hold on.
Oh, you guys didn't have a public hearing?
I think it was.
I think it's 5 to 7.
You can't hold a meeting longer than the agenda
6
says.
to 8.
Oh, it's
Oh, it
6
said
to
6 to 8?
There's two agendas? Is I
Yeah,
think
you
that's
got,
two
is that the
agendas.
public hearing agenda?
Mine said 5 to 7.
Was that the public hearing agenda? Because this is
I
the,
think they made a mistake.
I did.
no, this is till 8.
Okay, then that's fine.
6 to 8, the ordinance meeting, yes.
The meeting, this is the meeting. Yeah, use the restroom.
There are 2 agendas.
So, we've tabled that.
There are 2 agendas.
It was just like Las Vegas, right? I said it was public hearing 6 to 8.
So let's move on to B, Director of Legislative Services. The Director of Legislative Services shall be unclassified in the unclassified civil service and serve a term of 4 years commencing January 1, 2026. The Director of Legislative Services shall be responsible for the day-to-day management and functions of the Office of Legislative Services, including the expenditure of funds appropriated for the office, subject to the consent of the city council president. Law,
We'll talk about this.
law game fix?
No, I have a question.
Look,
Okay, first of all, I've never seen us ever talk about people having specific office space, equipment. I mean, that is crazy to put in the charter.
I mean, it should,
I mean, we don't see stuff like
you don't
that.
really have to, right, Mark? It's not necessarily have to be.
You don't say it for any other.
And no other department. And number 2, it said to be paid from the general fund, as opposed to what, my personal pocket?
Right.
Of course it's gonna be paid by the general fund. What do we need that stuff in there for? Where else would the money come from?
Could it just be one line, there shall be a Director of Legislative Services?
Yeah.
Cut and dry?
Yeah. I think the first sentence is appropriate, and the final sentence in the first paragraph.
1 second there. You're saying the first sentence?
Yeah, there shall be a nonpartisan office of legislative services with full-time professional and clerical staff. So now,
Where are you?
aren't we on section 5?
Page 20, section B.
Section B.
Section 5.
Section 5.
B.
Under the first paragraph.
Oh, I'm on the first paragraph.
No, we're on B.
We're on B.
So you're not doing anything with that?
No,
What page?
I just read 5. And
Five.
you said you had a question.
Yeah, the opening paragraph is what I'm talking about.
No. We moved to B.
We discussed this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have a comment on B?
Well, what did we decide to the chair on A?
I have,
On A?
I'm not on A, under the Office of Legislative Services. So we're taking out that whole sentence there with equipment, which sounds stupid.
That's stupid, I'm gonna tell you why.
what is she talking
Because, I'm gonna tell you, actually, we have a director of legislative services here.
I like the legislative.
The way the city runs its departments, I hate to tell you, and nobody realizes it, is that even if you're not in the building, you're not under public facilities, let's say. Our copier is contracted through the legislative services. We're not contracted as a whole city umbrella. So every department has to have an allocation of funds for everything, for all those subject line items. That is the way the budget is done. So if it's not in our budget, if we don't say we're going to do our copier contract for a color copier of $10,000, the mayor, nor public facilities, nor the CAO has the money to give us. So we have to, all of our stuff has to be part of.
But now that you're forming a department,
Right.
that department, like every other department, submits a budget to the mayor. The mayor reviews it, he submits it to you. If it doesn't have an equipment line in there, you
Put it in.
you do a line item change to
Like-
put it in.
Like for instance, the year that, they forgot to put in the money that we allocated and voted for
That's right.
our legislative person, we forgot to put it in. That way it's memorialized
But you-
in,
You could have amended to put it in.
no, because it was after the fact, and we were like, it was a COVID fastball.
COVID fastball.
They can't.
So that's what it's kind of memorialized. You don't think that the city and governance is that way, but it is very much so that way. Because right now, there is a department that refuses to give another department off-site a paper towels and garbage bags, because it's not in their budget. It's supposed to come out of this budget, but you didn't allocate enough money. And it's like, really, is that what you guys really fight about in the city? But those are the little things. And that has been something that I hate to tell you, as the council president, that I've had to have the argument with maybe Nestor and Ken and Tom about, because I think that's why we kind of gotta memorialize this, because you have to remember, it's taken 26 years to get this started, and we're starting from a gutted situation, gutted at zero.
Okay. Let's see.
Okay.
And this is
It
for,
sounds crazy, but remember, you don't know what another council's gonna be like. They're gonna say, well, we don't need the director of legislation,
Yeah,
because we got ChatGPT and they can do everything for
correct,
us.
Google,
AI,
yeah.
I
yeah,
thought you amended, I could be wrong, but I thought
just leave it in
yesterday
there.
you did something about getting rid of the requirement for clerical staff. And
No,
still,
that's not that. That
It's
has
still
to
in
do with it. That has to do with
So you're suggesting we keep B as it is?
it. Keep the first sentence and keep the as it is.
First paragraph.
So keep it as it is. You just said what I said, but in your voice.
Yeah. Yeah, just leave the first paragraph and be as it is.
So can you please read it?
Please read what?
Well,
You're gonna leave in and take out, you're gonna leave the whole thing in there?
just leave it in there.
Yeah.
The whole thing is that the argument is that this department has to be, is being recreated and needs to be livable and sustainable, surpassing our existence. And we need to make sure that no mayor, no administration can, gut it again.
Right, you need to make sure.
And no council president can gut
That's
it.
right, that's right.
Maria?
I just want to say, I'm not sure why we went to B, because we didn't talk about A. A is not okay. We start the preamble with, the legislative services serves the entire council, but there's going to be a personnel committee made up with the president, the majority leader who's nominated by the president, and a minority leader who will never exist. If it serves the whole council, whoever is being proposed to be the staff there should be approved by the council, not by two people.
You are
On
personnel
section
committee?
5A,
We're using,
Can
that,
I,
No, we-
let me,
Go ahead.
can I finish?
Yeah.
So that is a no for me, 100%. The Director of Legislative Services has to serve a 4-year term, and it says that they can expend funds, which is no different from any department head within their budget, subject to the consent of the city council president. The budget is for the entire council. It's not, the legislative services doesn't serve a council president, regardless of who it is. It serves a 20-member council. Why are 2 people making decisions about who gets hired? Because there very likely will not be a minority leader anytime soon. Could be, but you never know. Because that's what we're saying. If they serve the entire council, and that is their role, why isn't whoever's interviewed and being considered being sent to the council to approve it? And why are they being appointed to an absolute 4-year term? We don't do that for the Director of Public Facilities, right? We don't do that for many positions. Why is this position required to serve a 4-year term? We have many high-level positions that have that, don't have that.
I think for a personnel committee, we added in the event of no minority leader, the president of the shall substitute.
I'm sorry, when did you add that?
You weren't here.
Oh, before I got
Yeah,
here?
we
Oh.
actually did work when you weren't.
No, but I thought you were farther back.
No, we discussed this.
Okay, so, actually, what did you say when there's no minority leaders?
In the event of no minority leader, the president pro tem shall substitute? Yes.
Okay, but why isn't it coming to the full council for a vote?
Go ahead.
I think the reason you put it in there is because if you're good enough to elect the president of the council, then they should have some authority. And I'm sure whoever the president of the council is will bring it back to the body if you're good. Well, I mean, some things you don't have to write in the
You have to
document.
do it with the equipment. You have to do it with the equipment.
What do you call it?
The office equipment is staying here.
You lost me.
Michelle's
but
making a fuss.
the chain of thought is, if the council is able to elect the president of the city council, I'm sure the personnel committee, and this is how the rumors got started before, that Ashley serves the body
Well,
of the
let's not talk
council.
about a name.
The person we have in place now serves the body of the council. The president of the council, if you are the president of the council, you should allow them the opportunity, whoever he or she may be, will bring it back to the council. So it's no different that when people set up different committees, and we talk about personnel committee, there shouldn't be any problems with that. Because they would bring it back to you to say, listen, this is what we've come up with the idea for the hire. This person's qualifications is X, Y, and Z. So I don't see any problem
Michelle?
with that being.
Okay, I don't see a problem, but, you know, like what you're saying, and like we do with, you know, with clarification of a little understanding, because, you know, for me, working with the Board of Ed, I know fights over copy machines and all that other stuff, so understandable there. But if we had to put it in there for the equipment, then we should put it in there for this, what that person has to do as well.
They have to come before the council.
They have to, yeah, because when I remember McCarthy, we had this certain individual,
Yeah.
okay? He came in, he brought that in front of the city council, if I can remember correctly. So, I don't deny anybody power, that's not what I'm saying. But have a clarification in here, so that is in there as well. I mean, you can't have one thing one way and one thing not another way. I mean, make it
Make it make sense?
make sense.
Jeanette?
I just,
Otherwise, I'm sorry, otherwise you're saying you're just trusting that person. I'm not saying whoever's there, you're not gonna trust, but if you clarified it again with the other stuff, then clarify it here too. Be consistent of rules.
I was going to go. We are not in the business as a council to hire and fire anybody. They work for the city of Bridgeport. So their paycheck, whomever would ever be in that seat, is working as an employee of the city of Bridgeport. That's the first thing. We cannot get in the business of hiring and firing people. Yes, that individual works for us. We can do a review and then it goes back. But eventually, but in the long run, civil service and that department will hire that individual. So we really need to step back a little bit and understand that. That is not our privy and our job to hire and fire. We are here for policy, we are here for the people.
Okay, so the premise of the personnel committee is exactly what Jeanette just said in an extension version. Because all 20 members, though the director and every staffer works for the council, everybody can't be the manager.
That's right.
Correct.
Everyone cannot be the manager. Because then, if you go to the whole body, the position becomes politicized. And the purpose of doing it this way, creating the 4-year term, is to create, and it's only following what New Haven has done, and most municipalities have the same kind of framework for their director of legislative services, and almost the same framework of how they run their legislative department, except Stanford is a little bit different. We're kind of following the New Haven model, which I hate to tell you was the model we were going to start until Fabrizi left and became the mayor, because he was the one doing that. But Al Lucas came and talked to us about it. So we're not doing anything that has not been already working for almost 30 years. So basically, this whole section is kind of like taken from New Haven and swapped in here because it works in New Haven.
Copy and paste.
Copy and paste. Because that's pretty much what we've done. And the premise of the personnel committee is, yes, the individuals will go through civil service through that process, but it's also to give the overall, like the review, and to be able to manage the office with the director of legislative services. So if there's an issue with an employee, council people are having, let's say we have 2 more clericals, or we don't like the way they work, or we have issues with the clerical, then the director has to kind of answer to the council, because these are our staffers. And it can't be just the council president. It has to be, that's part of the democracy of the personnel committee, that the personnel committee will be able to review what's going on in the office. So it's not just the council president, because people tend to forget that Ida Evans will not be the council president for eternity. There will be other council presidents, there will be other majority leaders, there will be other minority leaders, there will be other pro tems. So it's just to create a system and creation of accountability within the body, and then to have, something that can be manageable. Because all 20 people are not gonna like everybody we select. And I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this because it still bothers me today. The first time we went to put in for legislative director, we did not put it in the budget because 2 councilwomen said that the person was going to be my sister. That I was going to hire my sister. And when we went to hire the current legislative director, we were still criticized because it was that, we went through the whole process, we went through an independent process, and we did a lot of interviews and people applied, and it was still said that it was kind of fixed, and it wasn't. It was not fixed.
Can't please everybody.
You can't please everybody, and this is the way to please everybody, to create a personnel committee, to address any personnel issues. And of course, there will be the civil service and the unions and the disciplinary action that will be followed according to the city guidelines, which the day-to-day management of the staff will be under the director of legislative services. But we, as the personnel committee, whoever they will be the ones that will have the oversight of the legislative services department in conjunction with the director. So it's not politicized, and we don't need a majority of 11 to hire a clerk. So imagine us, we can't even couldn't even hire somebody for almost 4.5 years. We're gonna hire the next 2 clericals.
Yeah.
Through a process.
So,
it gets politicized.
Brad?
And this is regardless of who's in leadership today. I want to be clear, I don't make decisions based on that. I know my councilwoman here said that we're not in the hot business of hiring and firing people, but we have a personnel committee hiring people. So I'm opposed to this. I don't know why we're giving somebody a 4-year term. We run 2-year terms. You can have significant change on the council in a 2-year election who don't want the existing legislative director. Could happen. and they'd like to appoint theirs. No different when the mayor comes in, and they get elected and they make changes. So
I think that creates an
if I could finish,
inconsistency.
if I could finish,
Okay.
can I just finish my
Hold
statement?
on, CP.
And I want to make sure through you, this is an unclassified civil service position, which means they are not tested, correct? There's no qualifications required, and they could be, I'm not saying they could be somebody's, kumbaya.
Butcher?
Frankly, unclassified means they're not in the competitive
Right, no
division.
testing.
However, we also have a lot of people who are in the competitive division, but who are in the non-competitive, who are in the classified service, but in the non-competitive division. There we do interviews and that kind of stuff. The reason why it's in the unclassified is because if it's in the classified service, you can only be removed for just cause. So now you will have a permanent employee, not a 4-year term, not a 2-year term. The rationale, I think, for the 4-year term is A, you want to attract quality people who aren't looking for just a pit stop, but rather to at least have enough time to either develop a career here or gain experience to go elsewhere. It's hard to attract people for a 2-year job. The second thing is that I can't truly think of any. We have the health director, which is a 4-year unclassified. We have the police chief and fire chief, which are 5 years. I honestly can't think of any. We got a couple others. I think the city engineer's 4. I can't think of anybody who's only 2, for the very reason I said. You know, you want to attract people who are serious-minded and not just doing it on their way to retirement or are going to be looking for. You hire a person for a 2-year term, they're looking for their next job while they're working for you. Because they have no job security.
Thank you. Let's be clear. We are not doing the hiring even with a personnel committee. That's very clear. They have to post the position. It has to go through HR. And then we have the ability, the 3 individuals, to review if they move further into our office.
Correct.
We are not hiring, we are not firing. So again, we are not in the business as legislators to do the hiring and firing. We have staff to do that.
It says it right here.
And if we post, excuse me, let me finish. If we post positions, it has to go from internal people first, because those positions will be unionized. I mean, the only one is the director of the department, because they have to be unionized if they're doing clerical of any sort. That's our process.
But it says in section 8, the personnel committee appoints the person. It says it right here.
The appointing means approval, but they're not. But they're already vested from HR. Maria, know the way HR works.
Just to be clear, the reason we did the 4 years is because no council president, as a friend of council president, I didn't know anything that I was doing, and it was nobody to kind of guide me. Tom McCarthy guided me, Mark and Mike. So if Mike didn't exist, and when I came in, Mike, who was the clerk assigned to the council, if I said, I don't want Mike anymore, I would not know any of the inner workings or the history of the council or how the mechanics work of the position. So the role of the Director of Legislative Services is the body is to move it to continuity. And if the new council president wants, they have to find just cause. It can't be just because I want to remove you. That is the purpose of putting a 4-year term. Because we don't want to politicize the position, because then that means every 2 years, the council president can remove, and then what happens to the office?
All right, even though we
And then you can still politicize and put your nephew or your niece or a family member. It doesn't make
Oh,
a
not me,
difference.
I've never done that.
Jeanette?
I just have one question. In our office, who oversees the director? In our office, because it's not us. Who over?
Right now,
Right now,
it is Constance.
Okay, no, I just was surprised with that. Again, that's another separate issue.
It is Constance who signs off all the offices. I mean, as a council president, I sit meet with her and coach her every week, work on bigger things that she's working on, this is going on in the office, but overall, whatever the council members are working on is whatever the council members are working on. It's not like, it's a cattails, just.
All right, we made a lot of good progress, even though we moved to 2 pages.
It's a lot.
There's a lot going
It's our
on.
chapter, that's why.
It's a lot. No, I appreciate it. I don't mean it to be. Motion to adjourn? All in favor? Any opposed? The meeting is concluded at 7:56 p.m. Thank you, everybody.